Love makes people do crazy things, like buying matching tattoos after two dates, proposing during a laser tag game, or accidentally setting your apartment on fire, trying to spell I love you in candles. And trust me, if you think forgetting an anniversary is bad, wait until you hear what some people have actually done in the name of love. 1. There's a fine line between romance and a 911 call, and one Florida man found it by accident, literally. He decided to surprise his girlfriend with a heart-shaped fire display on the lawn. Cute, right? Until the heart caught the grass, the shed, and part of the neighbor's fence on fire. By the time the fire department showed up, love had spread faster than his apology. He told reporters he wanted to ignite their passion. Mission accomplished. Nothing says forever like explaining to your insurance company why your romantic gesture turned into a local news headline titled Man Sets Relationship and Backyard Ablaze. Honestly, it's kind of poetic. Love really does burn. A guy in Russia tried to prove his eternal devotion by literally tattooing his girlfriend's face across his chest after the first date, a bold move considering he didn't even know her middle name. 3 weeks later, she dumped him for his best friend, leaving him with a permanent reminder that decisions made under vodka and delusion rarely age well. He tried to fix it by tattooing a zombie overlay on her face. Now he's got what looks like an undead ex haunting his torso for eternity, a walking, breathing billboard for maybe wait until date 3 before committing your epidermis to someone. 3. There's romantic, and then there's I built you a coffin to prove I can't live without you. Yes, this actually happened. A man in Tennessee built his girlfriend a custom coffin after she joked that she'd die without him. He thought it was sweet. She thought it was a felony waiting to happen. When police found the coffin in his garage, with candles, roses, and a handwritten poem titled Forever Yours, Even After, she moved states. It's amazing how fast Till Death Do Us Part becomes Please Stop Texting Me. 4. One couple in California decided to reenact The Notebook by kissing in the rain. Unfortunately, nature added a twist: lightning. They were hospitalized with minor burns and major embarrassment. The man said afterward, "It felt electric." Yeah, so does cardiac arrest. The moral: don't try to out-romance Mother Nature. She's not here for your cinematic nonsense. She's here to thin the gene pool. 5. A woman in London once faked a kidnapping so her boyfriend would realize how much he loved her. Spoiler, he didn't. After an all-night police search and a massive social media manhunt, they found her in a hotel room eating room service pancakes and watching Netflix. When questioned, she said she just wanted to feel missed. Well, congratulations. You're missed by your boyfriend, your dignity, and about 40 police officers who now hate you. 6. A man in Ohio decided to propose during skydiving. Romantic in theory. In practice, the ring flew off midair. He landed, she landed, and somewhere 10,000 feet below, a raccoon is now technically engaged. The couple did get married eventually, but she still jokes that he dropped the ball and the diamond. If you're planning a proposal, maybe start with solid ground and work your way up from there. 7. One woman in Japan married her favorite anime character, literally. There was a ceremony, guests, vows, the whole thing. She said she preferred him because he always listens. Which, to be fair, is true. He doesn't have ears. Meanwhile, the rest of us are over here realizing that the most stable marriage of the decade might actually involve a fictional man trapped in a Nintendo Switch. 8. A guy in New York decided to surprise his girlfriend by sneaking into her house, dressed as a masked burglar, to test her bravery. She responded by pepper spraying him directly in the face and calling 911. He spent Valentine's Day in the ER explaining to the cops that it was just a prank. Nothing says love like temporary blindness and a restraining order. 9. One man in Texas staged an elaborate fake death to see how his wife would react. His buddy even helped stage a car crash with ketchup as blood. The reaction? She barely blinked. Turns out she'd been planning to leave him anyway. If your marriage requires faking your own demise to check her emotional availability, You probably don't need a relationship counselor. You need a Netflix true crime documentary deal. 10. A couple in Los Angeles tried to make a joint TikTok showing their trust by handcuffing themselves together for a week. They made it 36 hours. The video ends with them screaming, sobbing, and a locksmith arriving while she yells, "You breathe too loud." They broke up right after, which is probably the healthiest decision of the entire stunt. 11. One woman decided to prove her loyalty by getting her boyfriend's name branded on her skin with a hot iron. Not tattooed, branded, like cattle. He dumped her a month later for her best friend. Somewhere out there, she's explaining to her dermatologist why her shoulder still reads property of Kyle. Truly, the only man who deserves that kind of devotion is a bottle of ibuprofen. 12. A man in Australia thought it'd be cute to carve his girlfriend's initials into a tree. Unfortunately, the tree was part of a national park, and he ended up with a $10,000 fine for vandalism. He told the judge it was a symbol of love. The judge called it a symbol of stupidity. Nothing like a criminal record to immortalize your relationship, especially when she dumped him before the court date. 13. One couple decided to spice things up by cooking together in the nude. It was all fun until bacon grease entered the chat. The ER report read second-degree burns due to romantic negligence. They told nurses it was a bonding experience. Yeah, literally. The skin grafts were touching. 14. A woman in Chicago tried to catch her boyfriend cheating by hiding in his car trunk. She got stuck for 2 hours and had to call 911 from inside. The operator reportedly laughed so hard they had to transfer her call. And the kicker, he wasn't cheating. He was at the gym. Nothing like a surprise rescue mission to turn insecurity into national radio news. 15. A man in Italy decided to impress his girlfriend by jumping into a zoo's lion enclosure to prove his courage. The lions were unimpressed. Security had to tranquilize both him and the lions before things got fatal. When asked why he did it, he said, "To show her I'm fearless." Congratulations, Romeo. You're also fearless, shirtless, and now banned from every zoo in the country. 16. A couple in Arizona tried to recreate their honeymoon photo by taking a selfie on the edge of the Grand Canyon. The photo was never posted because they both slipped. Thankfully, they only fell 12 feet onto a ledge and were rescued. They told reporters it was a miracle. I call it gravity's gentle reminder that love doesn't cancel physics. 17. And finally, a man in Scotland proposed by hiding the engagement ring inside a slice of cake. The problem? She didn't notice. She swallowed it. The engagement went from surprise to emergency surgery in under an hour. When she woke up, he said, "Well, you really took my love to heart." Romantic? Maybe. But personally, I'd rather say yes with my mouth, not my digestive tract. 18. A man in Canada once tried to impress his girlfriend by cooking dinner like a chef on TV. Unfortunately, his only real experience with fire came from birthday candles. He flambéed the entire kitchen, burned off his eyebrows, and called it an experimental menu. When firefighters arrived, he was still insisting that the smoke alarm was part of the ambiance. She broke up with him 3 days later. Apparently, the scent of charred ego and burnt lasagna isn't an aphrodisiac. He told the news he'd learned his lesson and would stick to takeout. Somewhere, Gordon Ramsay just felt a disturbance in the culinary force. 19. One woman in Brazil got her boyfriend's name tattooed, not once, not twice, but 7 times. She called it loyalty. I call it repeated poor decision-making with ink. By the 5th tattoo, her friends begged her to stop. By the 7th, he'd left her for someone named Carla. She tried to rework the tattoos into motivational quotes, which is a nice way of saying her arm now reads like the diary of someone who lost an argument with Photoshop. If your body starts to resemble a fan club for your ex, maybe the relationship wasn't meant to be immortalized in ink. Or at least not 7 times. 20. There was a guy who proposed by spelling out "marry me" in fireworks. Cute until one rocket misfired and launched directly into her hair. The proposal video looks like an action movie directed by Michael Bay and sponsored by Bad Decisions. She said yes, but only after her head stopped smoking. He later told reporters it was a sign from above. Yeah, a flaming airborne sign warning the rest of us not to confuse romance with pyrotechnics. The good news? They got married. The bad news? Their wedding photos look like a safety PSA. 21. A couple in New Jersey thought it'd be romantic to handcuff themselves together for an entire week to prove their bond. They made it today, two before one of them tried to go to the bathroom and the other refused to follow. Their argument went viral after neighbors called the cops for disturbing noises. When officers arrived, the two were screaming about whose fault it was that the key got lost. The relationship ended when the locksmith freed them, though personally, I think the relationship ended the moment they confused love with light kidnapping. 22. A man in Thailand tried to fake his own death so his girlfriend would feel guilty for ignoring him. He even posted fake RIP photos and had his cousin message her, pretending to be the coroner. It might have worked, except he forgot to log out of his own Facebook account before replying thanks to his own death announcement. She didn't cry, she laughed, screenshotted everything, and shared it with his family. Nothing says closure like your mom commenting, "Son, this is embarrassing." 23. A woman in Italy thought it would be symbolic to lock herself and her boyfriend inside a giant metal chain to test their connection. They welded it closed. A month later, they had to call firefighters to cut it open because, shockingly, living like medieval prisoners isn't romantic after day 3. They said the experience taught them communication. Yeah, mainly how to communicate, "My arm is going numb." Nothing brings a couple together like the smell of burning metal and public humiliation. 24. A man in Arizona once tattooed a QR code on his arm that linked to his wedding video. Touching gesture until YouTube took the video down for copyright infringement. Now scanning his tattoo takes you straight to a 404 error. Imagine explaining that to future dates. This used to be a romantic memory. Now it's just a permanent reminder that love, like internet links, expires. 25. A couple decided to renew their vows by doing a tandem bungee jump. Unfortunately, the husband screamed so loudly mid-fall that he passed out. His wife had to dangle next to him while laughing and trying to wake him up before they hit the ground. When he came to, his first words were, "Did we jump yet?" I'm not sure what's worse, fainting mid-romance or discovering your spouse found it hilarious. 26. One guy in New Zealand tried to impress his girlfriend by baking a heart-shaped cake. He confused salt for sugar. She described the flavor as emotional damage. He tried to fix it by dousing it in chocolate syrup, which just made it taste like regret dipped in Hershey's. They ended up ordering pizza, which honestly might be the most romantic part of the story, learning when to surrender. 27. A woman in Texas decided to name her baby after her husband's favorite video game character to show how much she loved him. Unfortunately, the character's name was Sephiroth. The nurse asked if it was biblical. It was not. The baby's now in preschool, introducing himself like a final boss, and the husband left 2 years later for someone named Ashley. So now she's just stuck raising a child whose name sounds like a Wi-Fi password. 28. There was a man who decided to propose underwater while scuba diving. He even wrote his proposal on a plastic sheet. The only problem? He ran out of oxygen before she could answer. Divers pulled him out unconscious. She said yes at the hospital, which is sweet, but also proof that Darwin was onto something. Love may be blind, but it also occasionally forgets basic respiration. 29. One couple decided to combine their finances by opening a joint account to build trust. Within a week, he drained it to buy a motorcycle for both of them. She didn't know how to ride, and he crashed it 2 days later. The bike was totaled, the money was gone, and the relationship was officially a financial case study in stupidity. They say love is an investment, but in this case, it was more like crypto, overhyped, unstable, and gone overnight. 30. A man in Germany tried to surprise his wife by cleaning the house naked. While vacuuming, he accidentally got a very sensitive part of himself stuck in the nozzle. The ER described the incident as a domestic emergency. He told them it was a misunderstanding. The nurses told him it was Tuesday. Apparently, romance really does suck sometimes. 31. A couple in Las Vegas got matching tattoos that said forever in cursive. The artist misspelled it as for never. They laughed it off and said it was a sign. 2 months later, they broke up. Somewhere out there, a tattoo artist is still telling that story as a warning label for everyone who believes fate can spell check. 32. A woman in France tried to impress her boyfriend by sending him a photo of herself cooking in lingerie. Unfortunately, she forgot she was using his family group chat. His mother replied, "Looks delicious, dear." She moved to another city shortly after, proving that love fades, but screenshots are eternal. 33. One man decided to propose by hiding the ring inside his girlfriend's drink. She didn't see it, she chugged it. Q panic, X-rays, and the world's least romantic waiting room experience. When she finally, let's say, retrieved the ring, she said yes right after washing it about 12 times. It's a nice metaphor, really. Love takes work, patience, and occasionally a digestive cleanse. 34. A couple in Florida decided to get matching tattoos of each other's faces to prove their love. 2 years later, they broke up, but here's the twist. They started dating new people who looked just like their exes, so they didn't have to remove them. Somewhere, a therapist just retired early out of sheer exhaustion. 35. A man in Denmark decided to prove his eternal devotion by getting his girlfriend's face surgically tattooed over his own. He wanted to become one with her. The result looked like if Picasso designed a witness protection disguise. She broke up with him 2 months later, claiming the tattoo felt weird during arguments. He said he didn't regret it, which is a bold statement for a man who now has to shave someone else's jawline every morning. Love might fade, but laser removal bills don't. 36. A couple in Oregon got matching heart pacemakers so their hearts would beat together forever. It was adorable right up until the devices started syncing wrong, causing their heart rates to mimic each other's anxiety. Every time she got stressed, he'd nearly faint. They literally gave each other heart attacks for 6 months before doctors reprogrammed them. I've heard of toxic relationships, but this is the first one that came with an actual defibrillator. 37. One man decided to name a star after his girlfriend. Sweet, right? Except he chose the wrong constellation and accidentally dedicated it to another woman's coordinates. A stranger named Linda, whose official star certificate is now forever twinned with his ex's name. When the girlfriend found out, she dumped him for cosmic infidelity. Somewhere, NASA is laughing because they know space is infinite, but stupidity apparently isn't. 38. A couple in Florida tried to get matching piercings to symbolize unity. They chose tongue piercings. They went together to the studio and, in a moment of peak romance, decided to kiss right after. The piercings locked together. The emergency room had to separate them with surgical cutters while nurses tried not to laugh. They told reporters they'd never been closer. I don't know. If your love story requires a bolt cutter, maybe take a break. 39. A woman in Los Angeles hired a skywriter to apologize to her ex-boyfriend after cheating. The message read, "Take me back, Mike." Unfortunately, there were two Mikes in her neighborhood, and she forgot to specify which one. So both Mikes got calls from their confused partners asking, "Who the hell is writing your name in the sky?" The real Mike blocked her number, while the other one ended up divorced. Love really does have a ripple effect, mostly through collateral damage. 40. One man in Kentucky tried to show his girlfriend how connected they were by getting her name tattooed on his tooth, a molar specifically. The dentist refused, so he found a friend with a Dremel tool. Half an hour later, he was missing half a tooth and most of his dignity. When she found out, she said, "That's sweet, but horrifying." He smiled a terrifying smile and said, "It's forever." She left him for someone with normal enamel. 41. A couple in South Korea decided to live stream their entire honeymoon to prove their transparency and commitment. After day 3, viewers noticed they weren't talking. By day 5, the husband had started sleeping on the couch, on camera. The comment section became a full-blown therapy group. By day 7, they announced their divorce live to 40,000 viewers. Nothing says modern love like breaking up in 1080p. 42. One woman in Germany spent $15,000 on plastic surgery to look like her boyfriend's favorite cartoon character, Jessica Rabbit. She claimed it was a gesture of pure love. He dumped her because, quote, it was too weird to date someone who looked like a drawing. So she sued him for emotional damages and lost. Now she tours comic conventions. Honestly, it's a character arc Disney couldn't write better. 43. A man in Ohio once faked amnesia after a fight with his wife, pretending not to remember her so she'd feel sorry for him. She played along for a week before calling his bluff by introducing him to her new boyfriend. He dropped the act so fast it might have cured actual amnesia. The human brain is resilient, but nothing heals memory loss, like jealousy. 44. A couple in Nevada decided to get closer by doing everything together for an entire year. Same schedule, same meals, same hobbies. By month 4, they hated each other's breathing patterns. By month 8, they were speaking only through sticky notes. By the end, they had matching tattoos that said never again. It was the most accurate vow renewal in human history. 45. A woman in London had her boyfriend's ashes turned into a diamond after he passed away. Romantic, until she used the diamond to propose to his brother. That's not just a love triangle, that's a Shakespearean fever dream. The brother said yes, and now every family gathering has a ring that's technically also a relative. 46. A man in Dubai tried to propose on top of a hot air balloon. Mid-speech, he dropped the ring. It fell 200 feet into the desert, instantly vanishing. She still said yes, but you can tell every anniversary when he hands her flowers instead of jewelry. She's thinking, that ring's probably still out there mocking us. Nothing like a sand dune holding your engagement hostage. 47. A woman in Argentina got her boyfriend's face printed on her bedsheets so she could feel close to him. Then she posted a photo online and tagged him. Unfortunately, his wife saw it. Turns out he was married. The bedsheet selfie became Exhibit A in a divorce case. He lost custody, she lost her dignity, and somewhere a printing company realized they'd accidentally become accomplices in adultery. 48. A man in Canada proposed with a ring hidden inside a cupcake. She bit down, broke a tooth, and spit out the diamond in a frosted rage. He said, it's supposed to be symbolic. She said, yeah, of poor planning. Dental bills, $900, engagement, still pending. 49. A couple in China tried to test their trust by swapping phones for a day. 6 hours later, both phones were smashed. Both were single, and somewhere in between, they'd accidentally uncovered 3 affairs, 2 secret bank accounts, and 1 very active Tinder profile. Scientists call it a catastrophic experiment in transparency. The rest of us call it Tuesday. 50. One man in Texas decided to show his love by building his girlfriend a massive wooden sculpture of her face. It took 6 months and looked like if Mount Rushmore had been designed by nightmares. When he unveiled it, she burst into tears, not from emotion, but fear. She told him it looked cursed. He donated it to a museum that later removed it for alarming local children. True love leaves an impression, in this case, mostly on small, traumatized minds. 51. And finally, a man in Florida, because of course it's Florida, legally married his laptop. He claimed it was the only thing that never argued with him. The ceremony was officiated by a friend dressed as Wi-Fi. When asked why he did it, he said, she's loyal, she listens, and she updates herself. The marriage was annulled when authorities realized his wife contained pirated movies. Love may be blind, but apparently it's also illegal in digital form. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how humanity proved, once and for all, that romance isn't dead. It's just buffering. And there it is, love in all its blistering, bone-deep stupidity. From flaming backyards to dental proposals, humanity continues its passionate war against common sense. So go ahead, Tell me in the comments which disaster deserves the gold medal in romantic idiocy, or confess your own questionable for love moment. Hit like if your relationship hasn't yet required medical attention, and subscribe, because clearly the bar for true love keeps getting lower, and I'm here for every glorious drop.